everyone. A very warm welcome to this last edition of the Speed Academy before we go into our hopefully well-deserved summer break and return at the end of August with new sessions. So be excited about that one. But it's great to see so many people in this forum. It just shows the relevance of the topic. And I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. I'm Monty. I will be guiding you through this session today. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, and I will moderate them later in the Q&A session. But yeah, this session is really about what drives maximum effectiveness in marketing. And it's not about just theory. It's we're going to use or we're going to see learning from real world examples from the Effies from 2023 until 2024, including some of the most successful Effie winning campaigns. And for that, we have some very familiar faces in this chat today. So we have Liane. Hopefully, everyone knows Liane. She's Germany's leading creative force. We have David from WPP. He's a strategist, and he's been in charge of this survey. And then we also have Sarah from Schultz and Friends, who's going to take us through some of the results that we are seeing from this study. Having said that, I'm going to hand over to Liane.
Perfect.
I'm going to kick it off.
Yeah, actually, this is quite exciting because we've been working on it quite a while, and this is all about how to achieve maximum effectiveness. And what do we mean by that? We all know that marketing effectiveness is getting more and more important in the coming years. We know that because we have to prove our ROI. We have to prove that our work really creates an impact. Also, we see the budget cuts and the shifts in our environment. So even more so, we need to know what we're doing to steer proper impact for our clients. And so what we've done to find some of the influencing levers that we are going to share with you today is that we have a really nice archive of Effie winners, and we want to learn from the best, the Effie Gold winners. And what we've done is that we analyzed basically all the winners, including the short list of the last 2 years, to uncover the secret of effectiveness with BAV. And David, our head of analytics in New York, will tell you a little bit more about that later and how we did it and what came out of it. And yeah, over to David on that one.
Hey, BAV in a nutshell. BAV, here's this great slide. This sort of says everything that I would say if I had a notepad in front of me with all the stats. But we've been going since 1993 when this thing was first run in the US. We've got 67,000 or more brands. It's probably closer to 70,000 now. 52 countries surveyed. That's about to increase by at least 5 in the next 2 weeks. 75 plus consistent metrics. So we started with a basic survey in 1993. It's expanded since then. There's been a few edits, but there's this consistent through line of major measures that we've always had. So you have this long historical data set. And we've done all this work with these various schools that have found this data phenomenally useful. They've done all sorts of things, tracking stock prices using BAV, valuing companies using BAV, all sorts of things. It's proven useful to everyone. We have all this academic backing that shows that what we're doing just isn't made up out of thin air. It's actually a working project. And yeah, we can classify brands into all sorts of different types. We were able to identify disruptor brands. We're able to look at just the automotive space or cultural icons. We can look at the trusted leaders. We can even analyze things that you might not think of as regular brands. We look at countries. We look at people. We look at movements. So in the US, we've analyzed Me Too and Black Lives Matter and things like that. All of this fits into this category agnostic model. So we don't go out and do a survey. Tell us about automobiles. We're asking a very large number of people about everything, what we call the brandscape. Everything that you might be or not literally everything, but a sample that shows you all the kinds of things you would be exposed to in a given market, and we can place your brand wherever you are in a context that you want to become the Amazon of your category. Well, this is what you need to do, because we can also show you what Amazon and Google are doing, as well as your immediate competitors in coffee or whatever you are. It's that big. When we try to summarize a brand, show you a snapshot of where you are, there's two ways of doing it. We have these 4 pillars. Differentiation, so how much you've pulled yourself apart from your competitors, how much you've managed to stand out in the marketplace. I should briefly address, there's an English professor who dislikes the word differentiation and tries to say that you shouldn't be that. He means a different thing. He's talking purely about physical attributes of products. Does your toothpaste do a slightly better job than the other toothpaste? We're talking in a much broader sense about perception. And he argues for distinctiveness. If you look at the formula for our differentiation, that includes distinctiveness. So please, if you've read any of his stuff, please don't get hung up on the fact that we're using the word differentiation here. Relevance is about directly how much the brand is close to you, how much the brand means to you personally, and so that will tend to drive purchase. Esteem is how much you revere the brand, respect it or not. And knowledge is simply how well you know it. Differentiation and relevance between them go to brand strength, which goes to this chart over here on the right. And esteem and knowledge go towards brand stature, moving you to the right on this thing. Every brand starts way down in the lower left corner. You start unknown. You start, no one knows who you are, what you're doing. You've got to market yourself. Generally, you can provide yourself with some differentiation and maybe relevance for the few people who know you early on. And you ride up the left-hand side, and then you hope to make that jump over to the top right corner. That's the place you would want to be to make a lot of money. You would want to be Disney or Amazon or Google that live in that top right corner. The danger of being in the top right corner is if you don't constantly refresh yourself, if you're not constantly reinventing yourself, you become old and you fall down into that fatigued area, and that's a hard area to recover from, where people know you very well, but they don't like you all that much. That's where Greyhound buses are in the US, for instance. That's sort of the life cycle of brands. So yeah, just the 4 pillars again, and you want to be good on all of them, but some more than others. Ideally, you'd want differentiation to be greater than relevance. You would want esteem to be greater than knowledge. A little bit better liked than known is your sweet spot. And you will find that the brands that are high on each pillar make good sense. NASA has a lot of esteem. John Deere has a lot of esteem. GE has a lot of esteem. These are old. They've been around a long time. They've got a history. They're part of the fabric. Strongly differentiated brands are always doing something different, something surprising, something new. Even Disney, as old as it is constantly surprising us, constantly doing new things. IKEA is differentiated because there's simply no other company like it. There's IKEA, and then there's whoever else you buy furniture from is completely different than IKEA. Relevance can be a good or a bad thing. If it's the only thing you're built up on, it's not much going to help, but it helps you maximize your differentiation into actual sales. It's all very well being differentiated like Porsche, but not many people are going to be able to buy a Porsche. Plenty of people can buy Heinz soup. Plenty of people can buy Band-Aids. And knowledge is, again, that's related to how long you've been around, how much marketing you spend. Everyone knows Coca-Cola. Everyone knows McDonald's. Everyone knows Walmart. And that's a good thing to be, but it can't be the only thing you are. So our findings, just to briefly describe the experiment, I was given a long list of Effie winners, probably 70 or 80 different brands that had either been nominated or won bronze, silver, or gold, or some very special award that I classified as gold. And I was given, so for the most recent BAV study in Germany, which was 2023, I had 1,309 brands, I think. to look through to try to match them up with the Effie winners. I was able to match 30 of them from 2024 and 31 from 2023. And so I then look at them compared to everyone else and compared to each other, so we could see if gold was doing better than silver and bronze and so on. So on those 4 pillars we talked about, you see that gold and silver as a group stand out on knowledge. They're better known brands than the others. And that last, so the pillars, the stripes here go gold, silver, bronze, as you can see. Then there's other nominated brands, and then the lighter blue is just everything else in the brandscape, stuff that didn't make it to the Effies at all. There's the larger landscape out there. So those should average about 50 on everything, because these are ranks. These are ranks from 0 to 100. So the person with the highest differentiation score gets 100, the lowest gets 0, and everything else is spread out in between that. Gold and silver stand out on relevance, and they stand out on knowledge together. You might expect this. These are the sorts of brands that would want to take a risk and effective marketing. What else can we do? The gold brands on their own stand out on differentiation. These are ones that are already, as on average, making the leap ahead of their competitors. Less so silver, bronze. They're right around with the pack, but gold stands out on differentiation. So the gold brands are already doing something special as a group. Then we took a look at all of the different image items we ask in BAV. So we ask a lot of different things. In any given survey, 48 different things you might say are true about a brand. And we looked where these Effie winners are distinguishing themselves from the pack. And then Liana and Sarah helpfully broke what I found into these 3 nice groups. So we took these 2 things, high performance and best brand, and we called those ambitious attributes. Distinctive and original, we called them path breaking. And trendy and cool, and I love the use of the German language here. As an English speaker, I wouldn't have thought to say this, zeitgeisty. Which just covers it perfectly. If you're those 2 things, you're zeitgeisty. And we see that the gold brands especially leap out on these attributes, and this is what's driving their differentiation. They leap out in all 3 of these areas. The silver leaps out a little bit in path breaking. The bronze and the nominees don't really leap out so much on these things. These are, so how these particular lines are calculated, if you're interested, the 0 there means you would be exactly average for your sector. So in order to adjust for the fact, say, if we had a lot of tech brands, they would automatically be high performance just because tech brands tend to be called that. So we adjust for that. We look at the average against your sector, not against all brands. So all of these categories, all of these 4 Effie categories, for the most part, are outperforming their sector. But the gold ones particularly much. They're getting almost double the amount of extra agreement on whether they're high performance. They're getting more than double the extra agreement on whether they're the best brand, and so on and so forth. So you can see these gold brands performing in all 3 of these areas: ambitious, path-breaking, zeitgeisty. And we think these three areas in particular speak to effectiveness in a big way.
So we've just seen how the gold winners stand out, so what they're doing right. And this is not just about the Effie, it's not about winning awards. We also want to show that effectiveness and success go hand in hand. And the most gold-winning brands are also very successful, which we're going to show you on the next slide. So we brought with us some of the top brands in Germany. And you can see that these brands you can see here are also Effie Gold winners, which proves our take that for a brand being ambitious, path-breaking, and zeitgeisty also means that it leads to success. But we don't only want to talk about these traits. We also want to show them in practice and how these traits of effectiveness are integrated in campaigns. So therefore, in the next part, we are going to show you from theory to practice some examples of gold-winning brands and how their cases are actually ambitious, path-breaking, and zeitgeisty. And first of all, we're going to start with Deutsche Telekom. This is our first case with their case Share with Care. And they won a gold Effie in 2024 for doing good. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you the cases, and after that talk about how they actually communicated ambitious, path-breaking, and zeitgeisty within their campaign.
Hey Mom, hey Dad, ich bin's, Ella. Naja, eine digitale Version von mir. Nur etwas älter. Erstaunlich, was Technologie heute alles kann, oder? Alles, was man braucht, sind ein paar Bilder, so wie die ihr auf Social Media teilt. Wo jeder sie nehmen, nutzen und missbrauchen kann. Ich weiß, für euch sind diese Bilder nur Erinnerungen. Aber für andere sind sie Daten. Und für mich vielleicht der Anfang einer schrecklichen Zukunft. Eine Zukunft, in der meine Identität einfach so schon werden kann. Wo ich im Gefängnis lande für etwas, was ich nie tun würde. Was, wenn mein Credit Score zerstört wird, Dad? Oder meine Stimme kopiert, um dich abzuzocken, Mom? Ich bin in Schwierigkeiten, ich brauche Geld von dir. Oder ich werde zum Meme, gedemütigt von allen in der Schule. Ich bin, du verfickter Loser. Und am wenigsten will ich das. Was ihr online teilt, ist ein digitaler Fußabdruck, der mich verfolgen wird für den Rest meines Lebens. Ich sage euch das, weil ich weiß, ihr liebt mich und würdet niemals etwas tun, das mir schadet. Also bitte, Mom, bitte, Dad, beschützt meine digitale Privatsphäre.
So we've just seen this very powerful and emotional campaign from Telekom, and we want to know in which way it was ambitious, path-breaking, and zeitgeisty. So I'm going to walk you through it because, as you could see, the campaign was communicating what AI can actually be used for. So the ambition was to drive change and create more safety in the digital world. And the telecom showed that the brand actually knows what they talk about. They know how AI can be used or misused, and they have a lot of experiences with AI. And the very special twist about this campaign was that the one we are fearing, so AI, the danger is actually used to warn about AI. So this very special technique where they transformed the child's face into a woman and then let her talk to her parents made this very abstract fear and danger we're having more graspable, because normally we think we know the dangers of AI, but often it seems far away from that it actually happens to us. And what the telecom did was that it made it not that far away, but actually graspable, and used it to change our behavior and actually create a change in the minds of the consumers. And this case or this topic is obviously very zeitgeisty. AI is something that is very relevant in our world. It's going to be even more relevant in the future. And also regarding cybersecurity, which is a very important topic, especially in Germany, is something that's very often talked about, and especially among parents. But the special thing about this is, although we fear cybersecurity and we know issues about AI, still a lot of parents use their children's pictures and put them online. So the brand really picked up and understood the behavior of the parents and used it in a creative way to drive the change in the behavior. So next we're having the second case, which is Adidas, the typical German campaign. This was also a gold and also a Grand Effie winner in 2024 for activation. And we're doing the same procedure, watching the clip and then talking about it.
Heute im neuen Trikot.
Wie findest du das neue Trikot?
Typisch deutsch halt.
Was ein typisch Deutsch? Was typisch Deutsch ist, wenn man zwei Mannschaften im Turnier hat.
Das ist ja wohl ein typisch deutsches Märchen. Nee, das ist ein typisch deutsches Märchen.
Warten mit Autos. Fahrradweg!
Typisch deutsch? Torhüter. Schöner. Aber das ohne Schaden.
Egal, Mann. Nächster.
Was ist mit Goethe, Schiller, Müller?
Servus. Hallo. Hallo. Und natürlich 84 Millionen Bundesländer. Also, was ist denn jetzt typisch deutsch? Deutsch.
Ja, so halt.
The starting point for the campaign was the UEFA Euro 2024, which was the first big tournament after the fairy tale or the summer fairy tale of 26. But the problem was the mood in Germany was not good. The fans did not identify with the team and the players. So the challenge was that in the campaign, the joyful anticipation for this big game and also for the German team was supposed to be created. And as you could see, the brand had a very positive and high energy in the sport. They showed their passion towards the sports, the team, and also a high performance aspiration for football, which was transported, and it should slop over to the fans to create their hype and this anticipation for the big game. And with this spot, they actually revolutionized jersey presentations, because normally they are quite formal. And in this case, they linked the jersey presentation with this very creative clip. And what's also very special about it is that at that time, I talked about that the fans did not really identify with the players, and normally the jersey creates a feeling of belonging with the team, but the people didn't feel it at the moment. So the brand was asking the question, what actually means being German. So what is actually typical German? And with this question, the brand challenged the identification of how do I identify with a typical German or being for the German team, but also picked up on the love for discussion of the fans, because football fans usually love to discuss about teams and players and everything. So there was another topic they could discuss about, and this was what typical German means. And this was not going about sports, but also far beyond sports. So it was a far wider topic, which was highly discussed. And the path-breaking aspect was also that the brand actually challenged the stereotypes and was very thought-provoking. So they listed what Germany means by showing how diverse it is and pointed out that the perception should be different and modern. And also they formed a new identity of Germany. And this through a very creative and unique campaign. And in their storytelling, they were also very ironic through their type of how they challenged the stereotypes. And what's also important is that they really understood what having or wearing a jersey means. It's not just a piece of clothing, it's actually a piece that transports a form of belonging and also a fashion piece. And therefore, they also integrated creators, also fashion creators and other creators. So they wanted to target a younger audience. And how do you reach them? Also through picking up creators which they are interested in. And this is the type they did in the campaign. So they worked with the different creators. And additionally, to create even higher hype, was that they integrated and reinterpreted the iconic song Major Tom. And this was very successful. The people loved it, that the song even became the goal anthem. And we have a third example. This is the last example, and this is a small add-on, because before the presentation, we got the question if this also, for a brand being ambitious, pathbreaking in Zeitgeist is also the case for B2B brands. And although we don't have much B2B brands within our analysis, we also wanted to show that this is actually the case for B2B brands also, because for a brand to be differentiating and to be successful, you should understand zeitgeist and culture. You should be path-breaking and unique, and you should also be ambitious. So we brought this case with us.
Findest du nicht auch, dass Tom sein Astrophysik-Kundenprojekt ein bisschen zu ernst nimmt?
Denkst du?
Ich meine, er hat ein Wurmloch über seinem Monitor erschaffen. Schwerkraft ist wirklich...
Before this campaign, LBBB was incognito for a while. So this was kind of their starting point. And they started an offensive to be back in the game again. And they wanted to show that they really have a strong competence by showing their very strong passion about the B2B topics. And they showed that in a different and unique way. And in a very creative way, because normally in the B2B industry, the communication is quite conservative and only short headlines are used. But in this case, they actually rethought and broke the rules of the B2B industry were really creative and humorous, and also quite brave and distinctive within their communication, and showed that they're very customer-centric, but through a different approach. You could see that they dive really, really deep into the customer topics, which was also quite path-breaking. And they also showed that they understand the topics of the customers and also the future topics. So they picked up very highly relevant topics that are also trending, that are going to be relevant in the future, and showed that they understand what the customers' topics are, and also showed a range of different audience-specific topics. You could not see that in this campaign or in this spot, but in different headlines they did. They integrated different topics, so they showed they understand the whole industry and understood what the customers actually want, that they want to be understood and seen as every topic is important, and they understand everything.
Okay, but that's not all. So over to David again. You need to unmute yourself again.
Muted. So another way of looking at these brands, we take all of these attributes that we ask, 48 of them, and we have different ways of combining them to create different types of groups. One way is archetypes. So this reaches way back in culture to Greek drama and morality plays in medieval times and whatever, to try to align brands with the characters that you will know from traditional culture. So we have inventor, expert, leader, rebel, all these sorts of things. And then they go into these 4 general categories of thought, substance, emotion, and energy. These have been redone in the past few years. If you go back, the way people used to talk about archetypes, it was terribly sexist. You had matriarchs and crones and heroes that were all men and whatever. And yeah, we've tried to eliminate that part and maintain the essence of the characters. This is another way of looking at the brands. And then it turns out that for the Effie winners, we can get somewhere with this as well.
Awesome. Okay, and so over to the examples, because we had some interesting findings here, which were more sort of tendencies, which we wanted to share because it's interesting, but they are not as, let's say, significant as we saw in the other research. But what we saw is that there was a tendency for the archetypes of expert, adventurer, leader, and trusted friend to be correlated with the Effie-Gold winners. So that was that we didn't want to not share. So we had a look at that as well.
And what we also did was that we also wanted to show how brands integrate those correlating or complementary archetypes. And in this case, we again used the Telekom and Adidas case, and showed that Telekom is seen as an expert and also trusted friend, which are the complementary archetypes, and Adidas as adventurer and leader. And these were the strongest archetypes the brands were associated with. And the archetypes subordinary are assigned to the brand, but the different archetypes can also be communicated in the campaigns. And therefore, in the next step, we're going to show how these brands communicate the archetypes in their campaigns. And these are the campaigns we have just seen. And here you can see the different aspects of expert, trusted friend, and adventurer and leader the brands were communicating with in their campaigns. So for the Deutsche Telekom, as an expert, the Telekom showed that it really understood and had know-how of the AI topic and knew how to use it or misuse it. and also made AI their creative lever. And they also understood what's going on in the world. So they understood that AI is a really, really relevant topic and is also going to be more relevant in the future. And as one of the biggest networks, they wanted to make sure that there's a thoroughly safe network. So it's not only about safe network quality, but also safe network usage. And for the archetype trusted friend, the brand showed that there's a lot of importance to raising awareness of those dangers. They want to make sure people know about it, especially parents who care of their children, and their brand also cares of the well-being of the parents and children, and that the data they have is really handled responsible, and therefore safety is created. And for Adidas, we identified that for the adventurer archetype, the brand showed that it's really daring and doesn't shy back from challenging the stereotypes, being different, and also being ironic. So being very brave in their communication. And they had a very dynamic storytelling and showed that they were really passionate and created this joyful anticipation for the players and the game, and that they are actually a brand for winners. And for the leader archetype, they showed that they are a leader because they are brand for leaders. They are the brand for the German national team, for the best players, German players, and also for the biggest and most well-known and also trending influencers. And they, as I said, took a step further and didn't only talk about sports, they also talked about creating a symbol for modern and diverse Germany, and also changed the perception and identity of Germany.
So, all quite interesting. We're coming to our conclusion. To sum it all up, so the formula that we defined to maximum effectiveness: be differentiating, as you saw on the first part, be ambitious, path-breaking, zeitgeisty, the 6 dimensions that we shared, and then get inspired by the complementary archetypes. So that's it for now. And I hand over to the studio, the Monty studio, to Frankfurt.
Coming out of the off. Thank you so much, David, Sarah, Liane, for taking us through this very inspiring presentation.